incredible night. Oh, we're taking it up a notch.
Over 400 weddings in the past 15 years, numerous awards for photography, 50,000 YouTube subscribers, 240 plus members on Patreon, ambassador to Mag Modern, student, all sorts. How'd you do it?
It gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Neil Redfern, everybody.
As more people do that and see the benefits from it, if you don't do it, you're sort of being left behind a little bit. I think this is true now, and it was true then, and it will always be true.
Hey, be sure you stick around because we're only getting warmed up.
If you can get over the fear of what other people think about you and your work, you will fly.
Welcome to Think Wedding Business, the podcast where we interview leading wedding entrepreneurs and find out what makes them a success in the industry. With me, Howard Wing.
And me, Adam Wing. Whether you're a florist or a photographer, a cake maker, videographer, new to the industry, or just looking for some inspiration, then this is the place to be.
So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today's guest is a special one. This guy has branched off from his core wedding business to become a huge success on YouTube with his coaching programs, on Patreon. And he's here today to tell us all about how he's done it and what you can learn from him and employ into your wedding business. It's this man over here. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Neil Redfern, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you both for having me. Honestly, it's an honour.
This is from your website. And online.
I've done my research. I look young on there.
Everyone says that. So, over 400 weddings in the past 15 years, all over the world.
Yeah.
Numerous awards for photography, which I know about. You've got your educational stuff, workshops, YouTube, 50,000 YouTube subscribers, 240 plus members on Patreon, ambassador to Mag Modern, student, all sorts. How'd you do it? Like,
I don't know. I'm gonna get found out one day.
To me, what I was curious about is what a week looks like to you, or like how do you actually break all that down?
Not well. I really struggle with time management, and it's something that I need to get better at because there's no real structure to it. And one of the things that I've struggled with, I think, the past year or two is having like fingers in quite a lot of pies. And sometimes like they all need work, sometimes some of them don't, and it's hard to try and dedicate yourself and wear lots of different hats. That's where I struggle. I might be doing, say, a live stream one night, the next day doing a wedding, then it's something else, and it's hard to be a different person.
Of Neil?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you try not to be, but it is hard to go from one to the other.
You turn up to a wedding and the videographer's there, and you immediately turn to the camera and go, "Welcome to my YouTube channel."
Hi, Bon, how you doing?
You ever done that?
Well,
switch modes.
The hardest one, yeah, because I would say that I'm a different person when I'm sort of talking on a live stream to other photographers in an educational sense than I am when I'm talking to a couple at an inquiry meeting. It's a little different version of yourself. So, and that's when it's hard. It's mentally it's difficult going from one to the other. But I wouldn't change it. Like I love doing lots of different things.
What's the percentage of the pie chart that is like weddings, education?
Well, in terms of income now, it's 50-50. Maybe, if anything, I'm sort of earning a little bit more now from the education side than I am from actually weddings. And I'd like it to be like that as well. But yeah, I would say the education side, I bundle it all together. That's for me, that's Flashmasters, Patreon, YouTube, workshops. And then the other side is weddings, and
that's more than 50% of your actual business now.
As of last year it was. I was quite surprised myself.
And this is kind of what we want to touch on, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm going to take it back to the beginning in a minute. But I think it's brilliant the way that you've kind of differentiated, and I think the COVID and the lockdowns have taught people you need to have some extra little sidelines and build some other parts of your business. We're going to go into that and how you've managed to do that. But I want to take it right back to the beginning.
Yeah,
wedding photographer. Busiest, one of the most well-known, well-established.
Oh, mate.
I met you years ago. We did Tom Harrington's wedding together, and you've always been there, and you've been known and respected for many, many years. Why did you get into weddings? When did you first start? And more importantly, what sort of marketing things did you do to help you really build your photography business at the beginning stages? Yeah,
good question. So I started as I think a lot of photographers start, which is almost like by accident, that I had at the time a big camera. I had a proper job. I was working in marketing for a law firm. Quite boring and everything. But I did do at university, I did photography. But it didn't go anywhere. And then ended up getting like a boring, safe 9 to 5. And it was 2005, which is like in the olden days now, when I was working. A friend of mine knew that I had, say, a big camera and was getting married, wasn't going to have a photographer at all, but knew that I liked taking photographs of the cat, of landscapes and stuff. So she said, "Oh, would you be interested in shooting our wedding?" So yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll give it a go. And really enjoyed it. I mean, if I look back now, those pictures are terrible. I mean, like awful. But at the time, I was quite happy with them. She was happy with them. And it sort of snowballed from there, because I was very lucky that at that wedding, there was another one of her friends was there who was in the same position. She didn't have a photographer, did another one. It was never going to be a job at that point, but just slowly. And it was helped by the fact back then, say 2005, there was not the competition out there. Like, you know, a lot of photographers didn't have websites. This was like the Yellow Pages days. So I was able to...
What's Yellow Pages?
Uncle Howard will explain to you later.
That was the way years ago, how to market yourself. You get an advert in the Yellow Pages.
You call yourself AAA photographer.
One of my original businesses that I worked in with your dad, we call it as ABC Garage Doors.
Yeah.
That's what would come top in Yellow Pages. That's what people used to do back then.
Yeah. So
it's funny you were saying about your first wedding and how bad you thought your picture were. Adam's
awful,
probably
mate.
thinks his first wedding video was horrendous. My first wedding gig ever did, I was like, oh my god. But that's just the little seeds in it that...
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got to take the first step.
It would be a poor show if
that was your best
film
work.
was better than my stuff now.
Well, and this is it, isn't it? This is what we say to people. It takes time to get really good, but it doesn't matter if you're shit at the beginning.
Of course.
Because you're going to learn and progress and go on. And the couple that I did my first wedding for, after, they were like, "Oh, that was fantastic," and I was like, "Really?"
Yeah.
You know,
it's all about just setting expectations. No one's expecting you to go and shoot the best one you've ever shot on your first wedding, and the couple know that, because I did that one for free. And then the next one, I think I charged, it was something minimal. It was to pay for another lens. So I was thought those early weddings, I would actually sell myself to the couple. I was, if you book me, I'll use the money to buy this piece of equipment. And that's how I grew. It wasn't about money back then, but I enjoyed it. And that was the main thing. You thought, something really resonates in this, so I want to do more of it. And then it just slowly grew, word of mouth, really. And I was a big gap for me compared to what I think a lot of people do these days. But from the first wedding to full time was 5 years, quite a long time, because I wanted to build it to a level where I could do that. It was word of mouth in those early days, and I think this is true now, and it was true then, and it will always be true. It's networking. It's knowing other people. Johnny Draper proved that. You know, back then, I remember I started off like putting a lot of effort into Google, SEO and everything like that. But if you get to know people on a personal basis, as you two know this, like, that lasts the test of time, and it can last for years. And I did that by like meeting up with lots of photographers. So before I went full time, one of the reasons was I think it was a huge shift in lifestyle to go from a 9 to 5, where I was going into town, into Manchester, working in the middle of Manchester every day, to working from home. Like, that was like pretty scary. I don't really think I realised how big a lifestyle change that was until 6 months down the line. It's like, this is pretty tough. And I'm an introverted person, but to not be around people in the daytime can send you a bit crazy. So I reached out to loads of photographers at the time, people like Pete and Laura Lawson, the Crawleys, Johnny Draper, and I got to know Johnny. He organised a style shoot years ago.
Who are all massive now as well, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. But the great thing about that shoot was that it sort of showed me the value of getting to know all the photographers. And at the same time I was reaching out, I say, this is going to be about 2009, 10, 11, that sort of time. And we would go out every month. And the agreement we all had, we had a Facebook group, is you could only get into the Facebook group if you were going to come out on a night out with us. And we did it every single month. And that grew to about a hardcore, about 20, 30 photographers. And we'd go out and just get drunk and everything like that. And it was a really good laugh. And my bookings then would come from those people. And if I had an inquiry that I couldn't do, I'd send it to those people. And it just grew from there.
That's really interesting, because obviously we talk about it's great to know a massive group of different wedding suppliers in different fields. But that's really personal in your niche. A lot of people probably shy away from that, thinking, they're not going to recommend because they want the business themselves.
Yeah.
But when you're in that friendly sort of outfit,
something I've done. There's I'm in a wedding video referral group on Facebook. And we're all friends. We go out together, but we made this little Facebook group, we've got a WhatsApp group as well.
Yeah.
And there's like 10 of us, and we recommend each other work because we're all at the same sort of level.
Yeah.
But keeping it that small means that you're going to get quality referrals back
Oh
and forth
yeah. Well, you see
quite
it
regularly, and there's a good chance that the book, because you're all at the same sort of level and price point. And so I've got the huge network of. I go to the Andy Murphy events,
Yeah.
as we discussed in the last one.
And you've niched it down.
And I try and keep in with as many suppliers as I can and keep the relationships going. But I've also, at the same time, got my little small one.
Yeah, and that's brilliant because I think two reasons. One, we all see it. If you put just a general referral in a large Facebook group, it's like vultures, and you get 50 comments.
Oh,
And there's no way people are going to refer that many photographers, and even if they do, what's a couple going to do with that 50 names? It's too many. So what I prefer to do is now recommend and refer a very small group of people, because when I send that referral off to couples, I can introduce them. I can add them into the email.
But you also know the quality of the people
exactly,
as well, don't you?
and it can be more name checked. Yeah, of course, because then reflects on your brand.
Although you're booked and they're not going to book you, it's still a professional thing to. If you're going to recommend someone, if you didn't know them and they turned out to be pants,
exactly,
it looks bad on you, doesn't it?
Of course it does. Yeah.
So I think for anybody listening who's starting out in the wedding industry as a photographer, I think that's the real takeaway: is create your own sort of mini network. But people that are on your level that you can all move up together with, but keep it quite small, like you did.
Yeah, but that doesn't just apply to photographers. That can
No,
be anyone.
it can be anyone.
A cake maker.
It can be anyone.
Yeah, and that network can include other suppliers as well. It doesn't have to just be photographers. But I do think the two key things are keeping the group small, tight-knit, and you've got to know the people. You've got to really know them as well, because these are the people that I don't know if we can swear on here, but if
You can swear, man.
the shit hits the fan, they're gonna
C-bombs.
Yeah, okay, yeah. If the shit hits the fan, they're gonna give you back. If you? Thankfully, it's never happened. But if I break my leg and can't do a wedding, I don't want to put like a general help message out in a big Facebook group. I want to go to people I know I can trust, and the reason that you know you can trust me because they're actual mates of yours, and it's genuine.
I think that's brilliant.
Speaking of shit hitting the fan, obviously, one of your USPs is the fact that you've built this successful photography business, but you've branched off into education, which is a kind of sub part of the business that not a lot of people think about because they're focused on getting wedding bookings.
Of course, yeah.
And that's your core business, but you've done so well in branching out on this educational side and having, like we said before, eggs in different baskets. And I know it was the COVID shit hitting the fan thing.
Yeah.
Give you that nudge for that.
Yeah.
So how did the education stuff start, and was it YouTube? Because I know. Yeah.
So to go back a little bit, I started YouTube almost by accident because people would ask me, because I do a lot of camera flash work, which is taking images which look very different to what we see as with our human eyes, basically. So you get a lot of photographers like, oh, how did you do that? So I started getting those questions, mainly through a group called the MagMod community, which if everybody's interested in off-camera flash, then that's a great Facebook group to learn.
What was that called again?
Called the MagMod community. So MagMod produce, MAGMOD. They produce modifiers for speed lights, which can just change the way that a speed light the light will come out, whether it's the colour, whether it's shaping the light, all that sort of stuff. And I was a member of that group, and I used the MagMod products a lot. So I would produce images and just tend to put them in that group. And people say, oh, how do you do this? So rather than typing everything out, I'd think, I'm just going to do a YouTube video. And at that point, it was literally just a photo with me talking over the top, just narrating it, because I wouldn't dare to show my face on camera. That'd be no way. So it's just me saying, for this photograph, I use two speed lights. I put one here, and I just put diagrams on the screen, post that video into that group, into that Facebook group, and it just sort of took off. And it's like people were subscribing. It's like, oh, I literally didn't know what a subscriber was, because back then, you're probably looking at 2016, 17. To me, YouTube was just how you find out how to fix a leaky tap, literally, or watch cat videos. And I didn't know what...
Explain the videos.
Yeah, and then people started to watch these comments. I thought, I'll do another one, and I started to get a bit of a following there. At the same time, I was running workshops. I just so enjoyed workshops because I get as much of a buzz out of doing workshops as you do, as you'll both know. When you leave a wedding, you think, that went really well. You leave on a bit of a high. And that was what I would leave a workshop feeling like. So I enjoyed doing the two together, and it sort of went hand in hand, and people then started to find me on YouTube and will then attend a workshop because he's found me on YouTube. So it started filtering in that way. And that's how it was up until shit the fan again with our friends Rishi and Boris like shafting us because I'm a limited company. I know you can relate to this. So for me, it was a question of you don't get paid anything. We're not going to help you at all unless you don't work. And it's like, I can't not work. So I didn't get anything. So what I did was think, right, I'm going to have to really grow. And the silver lining towards that was I was sort of spurred on by bitterness and hatred for the fecking Tories. I thought, right, if I can come out of this and give a big like 2 fingers to them who tried to kill my business, then I'll have done my job. So it really spurred me on. So I thought, I've got this little bit of a following, which I'm very fortunate to have.
The anger was your motivation.
It was,
I can really sense it.
It was. And
use
still
anything
is now.
for motivation.
Yeah,
if anger's one of them, brilliant.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, they're trying to shaft me. I'm going to prove them wrong. And it was good in a way because maybe, you know, we all get a little bit maybe complacent and stuff. And now it's like, this is now a challenge. Like, this is a really good challenge that I've got. If I can come through this better, then yeah, I've succeeded. So I had that bit of a very, very small but following on YouTube and stuff, and people would come onto my workshops, and those people, when they had come onto a workshop, went to a Facebook group. So again, I had my own little group. I thought, I'm going to now create this online community because we couldn't do much else at the time other than online. So set up my Patreon, which was
the time of Zooms and
exactly, yeah. And I didn't know, I hadn't even heard of Zoom before that time.
Live hangouts and
exactly, yeah. That time whenever, do you remember that Clubhouse?
Yeah,
there was on there as well. Yeah, it was decent for a bit, but yeah. So I then set up this Patreon, which is basically this online community, and I was also fortunate, I think, that we set it up then. So the photographer that joined were also struggling because they didn't have work to do either. You know, it's tough when your purpose is taken away from you. So we set up this online community, and we'd hold regular live streams. Those live streams originally were set up to let's talk about this, but then it become like just chatting. Like every month we'd have 3 or 4 live streams, 1 or 2 of which were just open Q&As, and those Q&As just became general hangouts, and they became longer. They were going to be 2 hours, then it'd be 3 hours, then we'd be drinking on them, and this community was formed again. And it was really good, and that community now is still now going really strong, and I do feel like I succeeded because it's become now a big part of my business. My overall business now changed because of what happened during that lockdown time.
Yeah. Do you think having that YouTube following gets you more or maybe better wedding bookings? And how can anybody who's watching this think, well, I might try and branch off and do that? Is it going to benefit me, and is it going to benefit my wedding business? What have the benefits been, and have you seen more bookings because of it, or better quality bookings?
Yeah, I would say indirectly it definitely does. And even if you're not interested in YouTube, what I would always implore people to do, and I've learned a lot from the Patreon as well, because I'm now doing these live streams all the time where I'm learning from other people constantly.
So just to cut in, Patreon for anyone that's it's essentially it's OnlyFans but not sexual, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it can be. Depends how much you have to drink.
Depends how much you're willing to pay.
If you join the VIP package. Yeah.
Can we put a link to that below? Patreon is a subscription based where you share your content, and people that like your content can subscribe.
It's a way to fund a YouTuber, isn't it?
Yeah,
really,
basically, it's allowing someone to. It allows me to have the time to produce content that I feel benefits everyone. Yeah. So it's like watching a YouTube channel, I guess, but behind the curtain. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And but one of the things, like going back to what you said there about has YouTube grown my wedding business as such in terms of bookings. It certainly does no harm, and I always try and drop it in. I don't make it a big selling point, but it does no harm to drop it in. And one of the things that I think is really good is that people can see me, because people buy people, and they can see that I'm a legitimate person. You know, I'm not like a fake business or anything like that, and that adds legitimacy.
But I think it also shows you as an expert and an industry leader, because you are the teacher, you are the sensei. And I say this all the time: who would you rather book, the teacher or the student?
Yeah.
And if people are going to stretch for it and pay that bit extra to get the teacher, they always will do. I think. Yeah. So I think it's good for stuff like that. That kind of authority within the industry.
Yeah.
You are seeing wedding inquiries and bookings that that have
I've
come
definitely
from...
had bookings directly from it, yeah, and also an increase in photographers actually inquiring because they'll see me on there as well.
Adam's had this with his YouTube channel, haven't he? You've
Yeah,
had people who's only found him on YouTube and
Yeah.
thought, when I get married, I'm going to book Adam.
Yeah.
Well,
because I watch his YouTube
We've
content.
spoken about this because I started my YouTube maybe a little bit after you, but and then you were a big motivation, inspiration of mine, and I've always
thank
spoken
you.
about the numbers and the stats and stuff. But it was the same. My YouTube content is aimed at videographers.
Yeah.
Never thought it would. I actually tried to keep it away from couples because I thought I'm a little bit too honest and frank on my YouTube. Like,
I get that.
I'm turning up at wedding and I'm showing people how to like shortcut filming, and like I'm leaning against walls and go, I don't need to film that. So I didn't want couples seeing that.
Yeah, I totally
But
get that.
They found it because it is up there, and the response I got, like I do now get couples that find me on YouTube and go, oh, we just loved being able to see you in person on the day.
Yeah.
Like we loved how relaxed, and like it actually, I found it really interesting how you actually get stuff, and
They can see the real you
it
behind the
reinforces
scenes, can't
what you
they?
say on your website about being discreet, but we're actually able to see it, and I think it's the same for me. It's helped me get bookings.
Oh, totally. But one
I
of the
never
things
did it for that, but
No, it's a nice knock-on effect.
Yeah.
And even if you don't want to start a YouTube channel, 'cause it can be a bit scary, I think, I would definitely say you can have the same effect if you just put yourself on stories more. Just
Instagram,
letting
yeah.
people see your face, your personality comes through. And it's funny because I watch people on Instagram stories now who, not so much photographers, just in general life, just who people who I follow, and I feel like I know them, which is mad because you think, oh, I know that, like I know where they live, I know what they do day to day, and I feel like I've got an insight into their life, and that makes them very relatable. And then people will book you because people book people
flip
again.
that on from a bride and groom's point of view. If they're watching you all the time on stories on YouTube or wherever it is, and they do feel like they know you, then if they're going to be like, oh, we've got to have Adam at the wedding.
Exactly.
It's like we already, and for any supplier, florist, whatever, if a couple can watch you, do what you do, buy into you, then it's by the time they come to book the wedding date.
I think it goes back to because like photography and videography is quite a saturated market, and I always say this, what can you do that those other people perhaps won't do? What can make you stand out more? I think showing yourself more, the real you on those platforms is going to stand you in good stead.
Oh,
So it's
totally,
not just a nice pretty picture or a nice pretty video. It's this is the person behind the scenes, but we're getting to see them.
Yeah, and it's becoming more and more important because the thing is, as more people do that and see the benefits from it, if you don't do it, you're sort of being left behind a little bit. Yeah, and it is scary, but no one's expecting you to be a TV presenter. It's just a question of just getting comfortable with just doing it. The more you do it, it becomes easier. I'm only talking 10, 15 seconds if you're using stories, but it will definitely make you more of a real person.
If someone is struggling with that, like they've got the phone in front of them and they're thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't want to be on camera.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that was me. That was definitely me.
have you got any tips on how you can get over that?
I think with anything, it's just the more you do something. And like for me, if you can go back on my YouTube channel now, you'll see that the first 6 months, the first 20 videos I made, I did not show my face once. And then when I did, it was like, hi, I'm Neil, looking away. In today's video, I'm gonna... And it was really like that. And now, it is like... It's a performance because I am an introverted person. I'm not someone who could... it doesn't come naturally to me, but the more you do anything, you just get used to it all the time.
I know the answer because I went through it myself. And
Yeah.
All I did was I hit record. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I can't do this. And I was hitting record as I was thinking it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as it's recording,
Got to do it.
you've got to do it.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
It's like it's an act. It's like you turn on.
In your head, you're going, right, how am I going to say this? As soon as the camera hits record, you're like, oh shit, I'm on. Oh, hi. And you just got to do it. And
Yeah.
then
I think the best way to do it is actually record it as a separate video rather than do something live on stories. Because a lot of people do that.
Yeah, and you delete the first 5.
Yeah, always.
just
God,
put
if
the
you
one
just
up,
knew
yeah.
how much crap I would say on a video and have to cut it out, and it's like, it could take me 40 minutes to do a 10-minute video because you've got the amount of that wasn't right. All the time. But yes, no one's expecting me to
ums and you knows.
Oh
they're
God,
killers,
yes.
aren't they?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, do you find, because obviously your content is geared towards other photographers that are wanting to learn from you, do you then find that helps with your referrals and in terms of bookings? Because I found that is videographers that are booked, that because they follow me and they like my work, they're like, like I'm booked, but try this person.
Yeah, definitely. Most of my referrals now are from photographers, and those photographers probably found me originally on YouTube, and we've just become friends. Yeah. I say, like, I get referrals from my own Patreon network who've joined. Yeah, they've joined the Patreon to learn, but then because we then become friends online, because it's like live streams all the time, that they then see each other as being friends and they'll refer each other that way.
Do you know what it is? Because you've provided so much value in your content over the years, they probably feel indebted to
maybe,
but
equally, I also give back. Like, if I'm going to have, like, say, a second shooter at a wedding, I will put a request out in that group. You know, it's always, you know, you help me, I'll help you, and that's how it's always been.
We've had some of our students buy our course because of that. You know, precise fact. They say, I've watched all of Adam's videos, and we did this thing called Wing Wednesdays, where we'd give.
I remember they were cool. Yeah.
And they'd say, "We feel we got so much value from it. We just felt we should just buy your course."
Yeah.
You know, I did it this week with a fishing magazine or a fishing book from. I love this fishing YouTube channel. It's called Winning Ways with Andy May and Jamie Hughes. And
cool.
I watched loads of the videos, and I just felt I wanted to give them something back, so I bought the book.
Yeah,
At the end of the
course.
video, so by the way, we've written a book. I said, I'm just going to buy it.
Yeah, well, I do the same. I support people on Patreon as well, like, not photographers, but just people whose content I enjoy. And it's like, you know, I don't mind, even if I don't always watch that stuff. It is helping someone, and I'm really fortunate that I've got that.
I think, YouTube channel. I think people should. I mean, I don't do a lot with my YouTube channel at all. You're the biggest YouTuber that I know within our sort of wedding world. You'd recommend people to have a YouTube channel, and if you do,
100%.
What do you? How can somebody get started in it? Can you give us some advice on, I don't know, thumbnails or SEO with it, or is it just a case of, like we said before, just do and learn along the way, or is there any advice you can give people who want to start a YouTube channel?
All this sort of stuff on Instagram, as you're saying, they should.
Yeah.
But if they went YouTube specific, there's the politics of, like, how you set up your thumbnail, how you have your title, how you...
Yes, well, you'll know all this, and it's an ever-moving target, and no one really ever knows the dark arts of what going to YouTube.
It's similar to Instagram, isn't it?
It's always changing. And I can produce videos that I think, do you know what, that was decent, and it'll just nosedive, and I'll also put a video out that might be a 10-minute challenge, and it took me literally 10 minutes, and it'll fly, and it's annoying, but that's just the way it is. But my first... Well, one thing I would always say to kick off, it's an open goal. You've got nothing to lose, and very, very, very few photographers are doing it. So whether you want to appeal to photographers, to couples, maybe just show a little bit behind the scenes at your weddings, do it, because nobody else is. So if you're doing that, you're creating a niche for yourself that nobody else is in.
Even now, there's very few that are still doing it.
It blows my mind how...
And YouTubing has been a thing for
but no one's doing it. So one, it's going to set you apart. It's a USP. The other thing I would always say is just do it. Like, there's a really good phrase which is done is better than perfect. If you're thinking, I can't put that out, it's not quite right, just put it out. We have one. Move on.
We have a saying, good is good enough.
That works, yeah, exactly. Like, the worst thing you can do is procrastinate and go over the content, try and edit the life out of it until you think, okay, it's done now, and it might take you 2 days to edit. Just put it out and move on to the next one. Because the way you'll improve is just by putting stuff out, learning the process, doing it time and time again, and you become quick as well. So I would say to anyone, especially if you want just to appeal to couples, just take 5 minutes behind the scenes at a wedding day. You could even talk into the camera whilst you're shooting that wedding, like, it's gone so well so far, just done the speeches, they were hilarious. I'm going to put forward, here's a little snippet, we're about to do the first dance now, something like that. But 5-minute stories, if you do that, you're in a pool of virtually no one in the UK, literally.
I think a lot of couples need extra validation sometimes. So they'll look on your website, they'll look on your Instagram, they'll look on your Facebook, they'll look on your YouTube, and if you've got so many platforms,
the better.
Exactly.
The more places, and then I've made my decision now. I've seen him on YouTube. Wow, I love the way he shoots his weddings. I can see him at my wedding. I've seen his Instagram. I've seen his reviews. That's the boy. Rather than just have one platform or maybe one.
Oh yeah, definitely. You never know you're going to be found. Plus, like, YouTube is owned by Google, and YouTube will come up in search results. So if you were to sort of SEO your title for, wedding photographer at X venue, and that content is evergreen as well. Because if you put something on Facebook or on Instagram, a week later it's gone.
Just to drill this point home, not only if someone searches on YouTube could your videos be
I'm
found.
talking about Google, yeah.
If you go to Google and search for a wedding venue or a specific wedding term...
Live test. Come on, Wingy. Right, here we go. Right, we're on.
He's going off piece.
This is Google.
Yes, exactly.
So this is good. I'm not at the top here, but I'm here and I'm here
God.
and I'm there. And is that Adam? No, I'm there and there again. There's some other singers. So it works on YouTube.
Some other singers above you.
Yeah,
I'm not telling you who those singers are.
You'll cut this bit.
None of them are as good as me.
Well, the point is, yeah, if you make a video and it could be like wedding photographer at Mitten Hall, you will. It's giving you an extra way to be found,
and that's coming up on actual Google.
Yeah, and the thing
Not
is
just
that
YouTube.
video can last for years. And as I said, like with Instagram, with Facebook, it's content that lasts for a day or two, and it goes.
I did those videos. Must be 8 years ago, something like that.
And we're talking
Still
about
there.
SEO. Like this is not just writing blog posts and trying to use specific search terms to be at the top of Google. You can actually make a video. And is it the case that Google, the algorithm, prefers to put videos higher up?
I think so.
Text links than websites.
I know that you will always get video results on the first page.
Yeah.
You know, it might vary as to where it shows that.
Yeah,
But
so if you're going to do, as a supplier, do a blog post and try and SEO it as just a written text web page,
yeah,
you're going to struggle to get on the top page, whereas videos always have a section on the first page, so there's a
totally.
better chance,
And
maybe.
what I'd always recommend, if you want to really go down this route, I don't do this, but I should. It would be to do a blog post with the video embedded in it from YouTube.
cool.
So you've got both. You're hitting both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you said before about it being an open goal, this is if you're approaching YouTube as a supplier, like you could go at it with the mindset of targeting couples. I'm going to post behind the scenes videos in the hopes that couples will see them, or you can go down the I want to, I'm a hairstylist and I want to educate other hairstylists, and
Of
you want
course,
to target
yeah.
those people. And it doesn't matter which way you go, it can kind of all overlap, and you might find that you're targeting brides, but all of a sudden you've got other suppliers in your niche
Yeah.
that are enjoying it. So then you go off on a new tent, and this is how your business can
Of
branch
course,
out.
I mean there is. Howard said it before. There is never anything wrong with it's a wanky thing, but like to become an influencer or an authority within any particular subject, there's never going to be a downside to that. You know, you'll just get nice things happening as a result of doing it.
Yeah.
So, but again, the first just do it. Like people worry about what I can't do it because what will that person think? What will that person think? Who cares?
People live the life and the expectations of others sometimes, don't they? And
it's really sad.
It's going to stick you. You're not going to do anything if you're worrying about other people thinking. Just
it's one of the
just go and do
biggest
it.
things. If you can get over the fear of what other people think about you and your work, you will fly. And it's such a shame that people are literally handcuffed to that fear. And I know people, for example, lots and lots of photographers who should be doing workshops because they're brilliant educators and their work is incredible, but they won't or they don't because of the fear of, well, I can't because I'm not good enough, because what will that person think? They'll and it's such a shame. And all I can say is I've gone through that of worrying, that process, come through it the other side, and now just think, if somebody doesn't like what I do, good, because it shows that you're doing something right. You never please you never makes everybody like you. And if you do something that other people disagree with, who cares? And
I've always had the saying, you're not being successful enough if you're not pissing anybody off.
Yeah, and it's brilliant that, and I've learned a lot actually from like Ricky Gervais. He's a brilliant philosopher on stuff like this, and he always says, you're only doing a good job when you're pleasing some people and displeasing other people. Otherwise, you're just vanilla. And I'm not trying to displease anyone, but I know that, like, when you said about AI before, I made an AI video recently that I got a lot of, like, hate for on YouTube. It's only my opinion. And it's like, well, cool. Like, I'm not trying to please everyone. It's just how I see this. And I'm just being authentic to me. And
Well, the internet is full of negativity in it, and
you've
trolls
got to
and
understand, whatever you do, you could come up with a cure for cancer, someone will slam you for it online. It's just the way it is.
But that's another sticking point for people. It's that, like, okay, I've got my head around it. I've posted something. I've really come out of myself and battled through my inner stuff to put a video online. And then the first comment is someone going, "Oh, you look rubbish," or you don't sound good. Like, because I've had that, or your sound quality is terrible, and it's just like, it's disheartening.
It is. You just got to. There's no way of doing it. That you just got to just be laser focused.
Or you're going to retreat back into that little shell, or you're going to think, well, forget that. I know what I want to do.
Yeah, and it's such a shame when people do feel that way, because it's just hindering them from reaching their potential. And it's the same with Instagram. Like, if you put something out and you think that's not, you can't put some video content out and think that's going to be the best I ever produce if you've only just started. Just understand it's a process. And the people who always say negativity online, guaranteed they're unhappy with their own selves. That's just a fact.
Yeah. Because if they're striving for their own goals, then they've not got time to stop and criticize other people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's such a shame. And you just got to try and ignore that noise and just carry on and just think, I'm doing this for me.
It's brilliant advice. It's across the board, wedding businesses as a whole, that's just brilliant.
So for anyone listening to this, whatever type of wedding supplier you are, do YouTube and the other platforms, Instagram as well. Just get that content on there, regardless of whether you want to become like an educator or whatever, because it's all going to feed back into your bookings with your couples. Being that influencer in your niche, that's going to give you kudos with brides and with other suppliers.
100%. Yeah, there are no downsides.
It doesn't matter whether your information is any good or not. If you're putting yourself out there, and the people will look at that and go, well, they're sharing their wisdom on YouTube, or perceived wisdom on YouTube, so they must know what they're talking about. So there's that, like, even if you don't know what you're talking about, you're going to get that perceived
and I will say, just be authentic, because people will see through you if you're not authentic, whether you're putting stuff out on Instagram, whether it's YouTube. If you don't know something, say you don't know something. My God, like, there is so much that I don't know. Like, there's a member of my Patreon called Martin Chung who knows the inside and outside of a car. Oh, I love Martin. Like, I've learned so much from him. He knows so much more than I do about how a camera works. And on my streams, if somebody asks me a question and Martin's on there, I'll be like, Martin, because I don't know, but I'd much prefer to do that and just admit that I don't know something than sort of try and just lie.
Quite into that more these days, because it's real,
authentic.
It's genuine. Gary V says, "Document, don't create." Don't come at it with like, I've got the answer for this, and you need to be doing this, because you'll just get caught out if you don't. Unless you know the ins and outs of what you're talking about, you're going to get caught out.
Yeah, so just don't pretend.
All I've ever done is, this is what I do at weddings, and this is what works for me, and I'm sharing it. If you like it, great, and if you don't, fair enough.
Exactly, and that's how you've got to take it. Like you said before, Adam, that you were worried about brides seeing your videos because you might have a certain time where you're taking a bit of time out on a wedding day. But at the end of the day, brides are booking you because of your end result, which is incredible. The work you produce, it doesn't matter how you get there. So as long as you're being authentic about how you get there, it doesn't matter, does it? Like, no one's like thinking, oh, I'm not going to book Adam because he spoke to the camera for a few minutes. They're booking you because that end result is brilliant.
Yeah, anyone listening to, and it's not just, this is a great way that you can branch off and have a extra string to your business. This is something you should be doing now, because after COVID, we all should have learned that lesson of, you need to have as many things going as you can, and even if it's just another platform to feed into your core business, or you want to go on that platform in order to do other stuff like educational stuff or separate sub-business stuff, you should be doing something.
Yeah, I think so. Especially as I'm also getting a little bit older, and I don't know, I don't want to be that 56-year-old photographer trying to appeal to 25-year-old brides anymore, like be that weird guy. So at some point, as the other side of my business increases, I will have to understand that maybe it's going to be hard to get bookings.
Sorry, I wasn't looking at you for any reason.
I've got this fear.
You must be 35, Howard. I don't know how old you are.
I said this to somebody the other day, and they said, Howard, how long are you going to keep singing for? I said, if I ever start feeling like I'm an old bloke turning up at somebody's wedding, I'm probably going to stop it then. Hopefully I've got many years to come, but I've always got the fear of like turning up and looking like some old bloke turning up at a wedding. But
I didn't want to lose track of what you're saying there, but the minute you said about being that old, like, it's true with all. I'm conscious of the shelf life of what I do.
Oh mate, you're a young pup.
Well, I know, and I know I've still got a few years in me, but I don't ever want to be the kind of guy that I talk couples out of booking. Yes. I use that in my spiel of like, you don't want the old guy with the camera that's that. Like, I want to be on a level with my couple
of course.
All times.
Yeah.
And not that I have to be the same age as them, but if I can stay youthful and still have that...
I watch my level just drift apart and apart.
You're youthful and you've got banter.
You are.
And you don't turn up and dress like an old man and look like an old man.
I'm not miserable. I bring the fun.
Of course, exactly. And people see you, what you do at weddings.
It's a good point, because there is a shelf life, and obviously you're business now is become 50% this.
Yeah.
So are you...
Great achievement, that, by the way. I've just got to commend you on that.
Yeah, it wasn't even a conscious decision. I say it happened more by the circumstance.
Like, in terms of a monetary point of view, like in order, because I know how little money you make through YouTubing.
Oh, that's pocket money. Yeah, it's the offshoots of it.
But then using that to build everything else that you've done, like this is a massive achievement, because I know how hard it is to earn that kind of money that you can get from weddings through doing the online stuff.
Yeah, it's something that I always wanted to do in the longer term. COVID just fast tracked it, basically.
Yeah. So are you conscious? Are you like making that decision to do less weddings and focus?
Yeah, I want to shoot. Ideally for me now, say 15 weddings a year, but I want to, because last year I shot 46 weddings, which was just too many. On top of the other things, it wasn't healthy. I'll hold my hands up. I was getting depressed, and for the first time ever, I was waking up on wedding days thinking I don't want to go, and I've never felt that in 15 years, and that was scary. And also, I think your work suffers when you feel like that. I worry that it might come across to my couples. I mean, hopefully it never did. But I was just burnt out. Literally, I was burnt out.
You've recognised that and gone, I need to do something about it.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to now have, say, 15 weddings that I can go to, put everything into it, and know that I've given them everything I can. I want to stay till as late as I need to, stay till midnight, do the best job I can. And also, if I'm being honest as well, see that wedding as being potentially, and I hate the word, but like content, you know, trying to get a little bit of stuff at those weddings, because that will then feed into the other things that I do. But basically, give everything I can to those 15 weddings, rather than diluting my service a little bit.
So anybody who's booked Neil Redfern to shoot the wedding is going to stay till midnight. You heard it here, guys.
Well, I don't mind. I honestly don't mind.
I've got some wedding photographer mates who are like, first dance, come on! Come on!
Well, the other thing as well...
I'm not saying any names.
No, I've never... Again, it sounds like... I hate saying certain things. It just makes you sound like a prick, basically. But weddings are my passion. Like, photography is my passion. When I'm going to weddings, like, I'm enjoying it. And that's why I was scared last year.
Amazing.
Exactly. So I don't want... If I see, like... You know, of course I'll leave if it's his first dance at 8 o'clock, and then say... I get an hour's worth of good dancing, and then it's sort of then the buffets, and it's like, oh, I've probably got enough now.
Yeah.
But if I haven't, or if I think this couple are brilliant, they're bringing everything. The amount of fireworks at 10:30, there might be a saxophone something coming on like at 11. Yeah. I'll just stay because I want to do the best job I can.
There's a lesson there for any supplier. It's that you do your job and you do a good job and you get what you need. And you know, for me and you, it's you get to that first set of the band. Okay, I've got enough. I can go home. But knowing and recognising when the opportunities are there, this could be brilliant later on. This is good content for me. And if you know, if you're a different type of supplier, obviously there's different things you could be doing just to go above and beyond, because not only will you get a better content out of that and be able to do it better, but the bride and groom are going to be so much more appreciative, aren't they?
I see it a lot now where photographers, you know how many they're doing a lot of weddings.
What time they leave?
And they've been doing it for a long time. I just know the type of person. So, for instance, if we do a wedding like Dame or Brandon, you know he's going to stay there forever, don't you? And he's enjoying it. And I think minimising your weddings allows you to enjoy it a bit more and want to see it a bit longer. And when I say,
you know, like, I've done weddings where the photographer has left, they've been booked till this time. And
contracted time.
And they've left at the time that they've done, and they've, I'm good, I'm happy, I'm going home. And they leave, and their bride and groom then see that I'm still there.
Oh, it's brownie points for you.
It's not that I'm like doing it to one up the photographer, but it's just that I'm not done. I'm staying. I'm happy. I want to get this, and I'm not going to rush off.
It sends a message out to everybody else at that wedding as well that you're dedicated.
Yeah, and I think the bride and groom are like, oh, you going to? Oh, you staying for a bit? Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
and they just think that all of us and.
The psychology that is powerful as well.
Beforehand, I was like, no, I'm going to stay till this time. So they knew that anyway. Yeah. But as soon as they see the other suppliers going home and me still there, then even though I told them I'd still be there, they suddenly think that that's...
Oh, we're going to get loads of hate on this video from photographers, aren't we?
My rule, and again, it shouldn't be a competition, but don't leave before the videographer leaves.
Just to go back to what you said about potentially getting content from a wedding day, because and I do my behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah,
I have to really think about which weddings are going to be good enough for me to like what's a good kind of portfolio wedding for me to do a behind the scenes content at, and judging the couple. And do you have a process of like which ones you think might be appropriate, and how do you communicate that and work it with the couple, because I worry that if I say to them, oh, by the way, I'm going to be doing behind the scenes video, and I'm turning to my camera and talking.
Oh, totally.
I don't want people to look and be like, oh, who's this idiot? The day's not about him. I don't want to make the couple feel uncomfortable.
Really good question, and I never ever would like monetize a wedding. At the end of the day, if you go into a wedding, whether it's a videographer,
you're there
photographer,
to concentrate on the wedding.
Yeah, exactly. But when I'm talking about like getting some content, bearing in mind that I'm more directing what I do at photographers, I will do like little what I call how I shot it videos, where in the evening I'm going to set up some off-camera flash images, and I'll just walk around before the bride and groom are out. They're having the meal or something like that, and I'll just sort of do a little, just get my phone out. It's not professional video, it's just me walking out with my phone. So I've got one light stand here, one here. What I'm going to do is place the couple here.
Not impacting the couple
it's not at all, no. And if anything, it's sharpening me up, because I'm thinking I've got to, if I want to make this worthy of making a video, it's got to be good. So I will then stick with that. So the couple might even be aware that I'm doing it. And if it is, that video is usually like going to be very minimal. I have done videos where I've done behind the scenes at weddings, and I've chosen those weddings because they're a little bit different. Maybe it's a big Indian wedding, for example, where there's loads going on and stuff like that, or it might be there's something unique about that wedding.
Yeah, so that you're not regurgitating the same info, and you can showcase a different technique. Or
precisely.
Do you need permission? Have you ever asked for permission?
Yeah.
From your
So with those, if I want to do a bigger behind the scenes, and again, all I will do, that means I put a little GoPro on my camera, just hit record, and then when it's all happening, my mind isn't on the GoPro, my mind is on what I'm shooting, but I'm getting the content at the same time. Yeah. But I will always let the couples know in advance, and I'll offer them a bit of a discount as well. And I will stress to them that this is not going to impact anything on your day, but if you want any of the footage, well, that's yours. Yeah. And here's an example of when I've done it before. And that, for a fact, has got me weddings, especially Indian weddings, because there can be this reluctance sometimes with Indian weddings to hire someone who maybe isn't as familiar with the culture. And I can say, so if I get any inquiry now, and I love shooting Indian Hindu weddings, I will send behind the scenes videos of what I've made to YouTube, which also means that they're going to see that I've made a lot of videos, that I've got a little bit of a following.
Some couples will like that,
and they do.
And they'll watch it afterwards and go, "It's just extra content in their wedding." Isn't it?
They definitely know beforehand, and that frees me up as well to not worry. But it's only ever GoPro video or GoPro on my camera, and then when they're having the meal, I might do a little bit of talking to the camera. But we all have time for that because we just sat down doing it anyway.
It's a tricky balance, isn't it? Because we've all got to promote ourselves in some way, and these days it's doing stories on Instagram on a wedding day and be like, "Hey, I'm here with the couple," and selfies. But then it's just balancing that with not impacting it, because I've been in Facebook groups where they're like, well, you should be focusing 100% on providing a service. You shouldn't be promoting yourself.
Says the people who don't dare to do what you're doing.
But you've got to promote yourself, haven't you? Yeah. And it's probably because they don't have the.
Yeah, they'll be you're challenging them. You're showing them a new way, and that's the way
and it's a way that's appealing and getting bookings and
precisely.
And brides and grooms these days, look at the new trend of content
creation. They actually love all that.
Brides and grooms love it. They love
that's
it.
a really
Any bonus content, they love it.
Yeah.
So a big topic at the minute, Neil, is AI, and I've seen many articles saying it's going to be the end of industries, end of world, but some specifically for wedding photography and wedding businesses. And I know you've done a recent video on it, which has had some good feedback and some negative feedback.
Yeah, had a lot of feedback. Like I saw you post a video about AI and how you've used it for photography wise, because I know there's a lot of sort of aspects of photography that you can turn into AI.
Yeah,
and obviously, so you've made videos and it's been received.
There was a sprinkling of controversy in it,
but I think I think we should look at the positives from it, because
and there are lots.
Well, I'd like to know what the opinions were and why there was negatives if there were. But not just photography. Like, what's your experiences with it in just general for anyone listening who's any type of wedding supplier? How can we use AI?
Yeah. So first of all, there are obviously good things about AI, and virtually everything that we do now online, there is an AI version. And I think any workflow that you have, anything that is a process that you're repeating over for every wedding, doing that the same thing, that will be taken over by AI. So for example, blog posts now, you can write a blog post using ChatGPT in seconds, and it's going to be really good as well. AI,
you can have it structure. You can tell it to write your email.
What tone of voice you want as well. Yeah, exactly. That's an obvious one for photographers, especially. AI now is being brought in for culling, which I've not been able to. I still can't get my head around that. You know, you take 5,000 pictures on a wedding day, it will cull it down to 1,000 of the best ones. Like, it's crazy.
Wow.
But
time saver.
Exactly.
That save a lot of time, because obviously pulling something that's...
I've not actually used it because I can't get my head around how it can be used, but I know a lot of photographers are now fully on board with it, and it's part of their workflow, and they'll be editing culling a wedding 10 times faster than I am. AI editing is now becoming a big thing, and it's part of my workflow.
Photos and everything?
Yes, to a degree. Like, I would say, without going through all the boring stuff, it will do 70% of what most people would do, and then it can't do that bit yet, which is basically in Lightroom. It can't do any selective adjustments, but it will get there. So that will become something, and it's allowing people to be able to put images out a lot quicker.
Without getting too technical and specific on photography, for any other suppliers listening, but is it generative fill?
Generative fill,
So
yeah.
Even if you're not a photographer, because what I'm thinking is, for any type of supplier, if they've just got a quick snap on their phone that they want to put on Instagram, but it's not quite framed right, you can use generative fill to generate a whole new photo or part of a photo.
It's crazy. So what it does, like in layman's terms, if you have like you said, Adam, if you've got a photograph and say you've got like you're in it and there's lots of distracting elements all around, like you can now clone out, like going round the things that you don't want, just use generative filter, and this is available in the new Photoshop beta. Hit delete or literally ask it to remove something. You type it in and it will, and you think, yeah, but it can't know what's behind there, but it does a brilliant job, like a freakishly good job that I can't get my head around.
So for example, a DJ wants to get a picture of the dance floor to promote himself on Instagram.
Yeah.
Packed dance floor. I'll get a picture of that. It'll make me look good on Instagram.
Yeah.
But then videographer over here is in the background, so he could just select me and go get rid of this person.
Literally.
And it would get rid of me, but replace me with what should be in the background.
Yeah, and it's like that doesn't make any sense. And you could do other things, not that you'd want to, but
it's
you
magic,
could.
Isn't it?
If you're going to take the picture of that DJ, say you've got say it's Andy Murphy, you know, on his decks and stuff, and then you take a picture of him. He could then take that photograph, select background, so it selects everything in the background, and literally type in replace with beach at sunset, and then Andy Murphy's on Ibiza, DJing in Ibiza. It's crazy. And the thing is, you think that can't be possible, or if it is possible, it's going to look terrible. It does not look terrible.
That was my concern. That's because you could do manual version of a similar sort of thing.
Would it look obviously photoshopped?
That wouldn't actually. Certain things would. What it can't do at the moment is really add in people very well, but it can certainly add in background really
with
well.
Like 7-fingered hands.
Exactly, yeah. But it will get there because in that video, this was using software called Midjourney. It came out 13 months ago, and if you typed it, you could literally type in from scratch, photograph of bridesmaids laughing, and it would look terrible. Like, it's almost laughable. Now you do it, and it is so realistic. People would like, oh, is that real? And you're second guessing it. That's how realistic it is.
So I saw your video that was you generated some photos purely out of
completely out of Midjourney, yeah,
from purely AI, and then you'd taken some actual wedding photos, and it was try and spot you put them all together and spot which ones are real, spot which ones are AI. Some of them, which I could tell they were AI when I looked at them properly, but from a distance or at a glance, they looked.
And this was the point of the video I was making. If, say, like in 12 months, it's gone from being laughable, like literally, like
and
terrible.
It's only ever going to get better.
Precisely. In a year's time, you won't be able to tell the difference between a photograph that was real and one that's going to be completely generated by AI.
This could be a whole separate podcast episode. But
so it's never ever. I don't think it's ever going to replace photographer at a wedding because there's different people and you know who the people are going to be.
Correct.
But it can help you with the editing side of things and
for any supplier, it can
time.
Speed up your workflow because it can help you with your emails, and obviously you tweak that to make sure that it's...
of course, you
can write blog posts, as you say. You can help you design your website.
You can now create a website in next to no time using AI, and it's so much easier. You don't need to have that technical background.
What I was going to ask was for someone setting up a new business and setting up a website. Obviously, as a new wedding photographer, for example, not shot a wedding before, has no content, but then can generate loads of fake photos.
This is
from
a
AI
scary thing,
and fill their website with amazing looking images that are aren't noticeably different from real photography, is that not like a dangerous thing?
It's exactly the point. I think it's hugely dangerous, and it's not dangerous for us. It's dangerous for the couples who then aren't going to know the difference.
They need to do their own investigation work.
They're going to book that person on the strength of their portfolio, in inverted commas, for the podcast. And then they turn up and they haven't got a clue how to shoot a wedding. Yeah,
literally. I could go home now and I could make a website within 2 or 3 hours, which would look shit hot.
Andy Murphy DJ, who's been pictured in Ibiza on a beach doing a wedding, which is it's complete bogus because it was on AI. So then someone books him on for a destination wedding, and he turns up. Not saying that Andy Murphy.
I've got to say, the moral of this is don't book Andy Murphy.
But he's going to kill it because he's brilliant.
Yeah. So Mr. Joe Blogs DJ, that's like, oh yeah, I do weddings in Ibiza all the time because he's made an AI photo, and then he turns up at the airport and he doesn't. Know the rig, and it's the brides and grooms that are going to lose out in that scenario,
you could take a real photograph of a real bride and groom, change the background. Let's change it from Mittenhall. Let's change it to a mountaintop in Norway.
Okay, so the next question is...
This is not good, by the way.
Do you think brides and grooms are going to want that? Because
no.
I've had in the past... And
I'm hoping that they
genuine question that I got was, in the video, it was a overcast, kind of rainy sort of day. After the wedding, she came to me and said, can you Photoshop in the sun? So it made it look like it was sunny.
Right.
Which, obviously, I wouldn't have been able to, I wouldn't have done, and I wouldn't have been able to do.
Yeah, I don't know what you can do with video yet. Yeah,
but you will be able to do that in photography.
Yeah,
and you could. Like, do you think these brides and grooms are going to be like? Can you make it look like we got married on the moon?
No, it's a good question. Now, my couples, no, I don't think they'll want anything that isn't authentic, and I think what will happen over the next year, 2 years. Is you will have like a division within photography, especially where you will almost be promoting yourself on the fact that you're authentic, that you're real, that you don't use AI.
Yeah.
And it'll cause a division. And I'd like to think that the couples out there will actually not want AI, and it will almost like cause this split. But there will be couples, like, especially, like we'll all know couples, and there's people out there who are so used to changing reality now on Instagram. Because filters, Snapchat, or like how many times you see like pictures of, and it's so fake, but that's how people want to portray themselves to the world because they want to show this untrue reality of themselves. Those couples I can see want their wedding to look as good as it can, even if it wasn't true. So that I think there will be a certain amount. I did think the vast majority of couples will want authenticity, but we're going into a weird area now that we can't really know what's going to happen.
It's unknown, isn't it?
It's very much unknown.
This isn't very helpful, by the way.
No, it's not. It's fascinating now.
So just to go back to the positives,
how can it be used in your business?
Use it?
Well, I would say like the obvious ones is if you're thinking, I should be blogging, I should be writing things down for SEO, but it's so boring. You don't need to now. You could, and I wouldn't ever copy verbatim what, say, GPT uses, but I would use it as a basis and then copy and paste that and then just tweak it.
Is that the most obvious time saver? Because typing out text.
Yeah, I think so. I've not blogged for way too long, and the reason is it's just like, I can't be bothered.
So that's one. To SEO. I've not done this. I don't know if you know. Can you say to ChatGTP, for example, I want to rank for this search term. Please make me a blog post including these words.
I'm not sure, but almost certainly you would be able to.
I'd say so.
Yeah. I'd be.
Without a doubt, yeah.
And even this is the thing with AI. If you can't do that now, you will be able to in 6 months. It's progressing so fast that anything you think is not possible, it will be possible. It's it's going to affect every single area of the job that we do, except actually like you're pretty immune, Howard, I see, because you're doing a job which is very people orientated.
Unless they can get a robot just like me and sounds just like me.
Yeah, but you're an entertainer. That robot would have to be as limber as you are and sing like you do, and
have the same level of banter.
Although, did you hear Drake's album that was made by AI?
AI.
It sounded just like Drake.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Someone could replicate your voice, no problem.
Yeah, but they can't go and give a performance.
No, they can't yet.
This is what I think is that couples are never gonna get to, maybe in 100 years, but they're not going to get to a point where they go, do you know what, rather than having Adam there, I'll have a robot that films the day. Like, I could use it for editing eventually, hopefully, and I could use it for other areas, but I'm always going to be the person there on the day.
We
You can't
are
replace
pretty
that,
immune,
can you?
thankfully, I think, doing the jobs that the three of us do, or different jobs, but in the same industry. I think authenticity will always win out for us.
Yeah.
But it is a shame, like for photo editing, for example, overnight, photo editors more or less gone because Photoshop can replace them.
Editors, editorials,
Web
writers,
designers.
Copywriters gone because you don't
social
need
media
to
people.
Exactly. So
Maybe.
it's chopping out a lot of jobs, and you've only got to look at the news. Yeah,
Robot in the kitchen.
yeah,
chopping
exactly. Yeah, there's loads, but
Robot DJ. That might be a.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. What would be?
Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think what will definitely come as well as the positive is if you then, going back to what we talked about before, if you get like bits of content throughout a day just on your phone, you'll be able to put that into software and it will create a reel for you that looks really
But
good.
it kind of does that.
Beat
You can get
matching.
that now,
But
kind
there's
of.
going to be a
But-
point where you can feed in all the guests' photos and videos to build that scene of the day. AI will use that to make an actual wedding film.
Yeah.
That could be done to the style of Martin Scorsese or Wes Anderson, for example.
Yeah.
Hollywood style.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you're not as
And
immune as you think,
and
Adam.
that ruins me. But I.
But you've got to capture it though. You've still got to capture it
The
well.
guests are capturing that.
Yeah, but taking the guest footage, putting it all together,
But don't
in one
you
place,
think-
sticking it into an
Don't you
AI.
think that the bride and groom will know that that wasn't real?
Yeah,
And that they would rather have it captured authentically.
Yeah, it goes back to
I think
authenticity again.
Yeah,
And I think we're going to get to
we
a
are
point
immune.
when it does become a normality that people are going to be, and especially for the weddings that we're kind of the market that we're in, and this is where for a lot of suppliers should always be trying to target this higher endish market.
Yeah.
because those people will care about authenticity and
Correct.
they'll be willing to pay for it. The lower end might be happy to just take the guest stuff and put it into AI because they couldn't.
Yeah.
They didn't want to hire
Yeah.
a videographer or couldn't afford it or whatever. It might be better for the. I don't know. Maybe it might be better for the lower end. I'm thinking.
It might,
Yeah.
But I think
it
the
might
people
knock out
with
those
the big
lower end
budgets
people.
will just go. Do you know what? We've got the money. We'd rather just hire someone. We want the authentic.
Of
real
course,
thing.
yeah.
We're willing to
Yeah.
pay for it.
I think it needs to become more of our messaging, though, about the authenticity. That will have to be something that we have to. That's how we should react.
back-
That's,
come
that's
back
an
to
interesting point. That you've been using it as a selling point in the future.
Exactly, I
everything
think
is
so.
real.
This
you know.
is where
Yeah.
the power of you showing your face and you're doing the YouTube and the personal branding,
Yeah.
because then people can see you and then
They know you are real.
It helps
Yeah.
with that authenticity.
Just for the benefit
Which
of our
will matter.
viewers, the video that you've done on the AI, what's it called and where can they find it? Just
we'll link it.
link
shall we?
it.
Yeah,
link it.
I just know the thumbnail. I just put like it was an AI image with the word "fake" over it, and it doesn't look fake. That's the whole point. And
Has it
So
done- has
anything
it done
go
well,
on
that
your
video,
YouTube channel?
compared to-
yeah, it's done very well in terms of views because it's such a hot topic, and people are threatened by it. And there is a sense we're going to have to embrace it to a degree. And yes, obviously, couples don't want fake photographs, but it's more about, like you said before, what will happen when everyone's got an amazing portfolio now, because you don't have. It's easy if you've got even a bad photograph, you can sort of use AI to make it look decent,
make it usable,
So yeah, everyone's homepage is going to look really good. Everyone's portfolio could look really good, and it might not be. It might be 50% real, 50% fake, but to tell the difference is going to be really difficult. So we then have to come up with a way to differentiate ourselves and say, look, and educate our couples as well. This is what I will start to drop in now. Things about the authenticity, and just almost like as a joke, almost, but like, because what's coming in now is AI,
Well,
and
this is a great
because couples
close-
won't know any of this.
Great closing message is that that personal branding and showing yourself and doing behind the scenes stuff,
Yeah.
and just being as personable as possible and showing it online is more important than ever, because
Always, yeah.
the authenticity is going to really matter the more AI comes in,
Correct, 100%. Yeah.
which obviously you do really well. And, it's
Yeah.
something that we advocate all the time. Isn't
all
it?
the time, personal branding without a doubt, every
Yeah.
time. Couple of questions to finish on. We've got
Well, before we get into the couple that we always like to end on,
Go on, let's have a look.
We had a question from
Cool.
someone wanted to ask this on Instagram. So this is from Mike reading, and it's, what is your number one business hack or gadget, if you have one?
Ooh.
Which I thought was cool.
I mean, yeah. For me, it's always obviously going to be. It's more of a way of shooting, but it's going to be off-camera flash. That's always what sets me apart.
your
That's
niche, innit? Yeah.
that's
your niche.
Yeah, exactly. And what I would say is, like, whatever your niche is, lean into it. Don't try and be a jack of all trades. And so for example, on my Instagram, I tend to show much more off-camera flash images than I do natural light photographs because I want the messaging to be clear. Like, this is what I do. This is what I feel like I'm best at. So it then means that if couples want that, they're going to be very drawn to what I do. And I think maybe, again, it's not like it's an obvious answer, but just show what you want to be booked for if you're a photographer, and don't fall down the road to the trap of thing. You've got to be a jack of all trades. I've got to show natural moments. I've got to show details. I've got to show group shots. I've got to show wow portraits. Like, whatever you feel is your best and what resonates best with you, show that. Oh, and the other thing I'll say, go back to the beginning, because I think this is if I was starting a business tomorrow, it's to make personal relationships, not just online, going and meeting people and getting to know other suppliers well. No, that's massive.
Perfect. Next question. If you had to have another role within the wedding industry or another job or another career, not photography, what would it be? Not video. Should we say not video as well, because it's a similar thing?
Free reign.
Free reign. What would you do? We've all answered this on previous podcasts.
Oh, that's a really good question. I can't sing unless I've had a couple of drinks, so I'm not going to do your job.
I think I've witnessed that. Definitely don't do it.
And I'm not allowed to do video. What would I do?
Would you though, if you had the option?
Well, that's too
do you know
obvious.
what? I think I would, but I know that I will be very bad at it. I think, and what I always admire with your work, a good videographer's work, is the ability to tell a story through moving images, basically. Yeah. And I think the edit is where I would really struggle. I think I'd be all right shooting stuff.
So if it wasn't video, then what?
Content creation. Love it. Love them.
So the other kind of question that we ask everybody is, what is this kind of becoming a tradition of what is your most embarrassing or funniest story that you've seen at a wedding? Because I get asked this all the time.
Yeah, do you know what?
You must have seen one thing that stands out.
Yeah, there's an obvious one, and the reason it's obvious for me is just because it was caught on film by Tom Harrington. You might have seen it. It's a long time ago. It's always the one that I go to, which is just me. Basically, I was shooting a wedding with Tom, and we'd arrived at the church after being at the bride's house in the morning, and everything was a little bit late, and the bride and bridesmaids were walking into the church. This was a winter wedding as well, so it was all very slippy. It was one of those churches where, I don't know, the gravestones were on the floor. You know, I don't know how you say that, but I was
the flat ones.
Yeah, so I was taking photographs of the bridesmaids from behind, like as they're all going in, and then I wanted one from the front. So I ran round them really quick, and as I'm running, I slip on one of these gravestones and literally go flying. And Tom captured this, and you can just see the look of shock on. I can send you the video over. The look of shock on the bridesmaids' faces.
I'll put it over the top of the video.
Yeah, just ignore my hair in that though. It's okay.
You alright?
Yeah. Didn't get that, did you?
No. You okay?
Yeah, as long as I'm not muddy. Excuse the mud. But yeah, I'm fine. But yeah,
you've got to find that video.
I'll send it to you.
Put it, please.
And then I had mud all down myself, and I'm good. And thankfully I was, but I had to then go say, oh, honestly, it's all fine. But I had to walk into the church then with mud literally caked all down the side, and the groom was like, I said, it's all fine, trust me, it's all fine. And it's just the adrenaline was just going so fast, and just thinking, I hope I am all right, because sometimes you don't know how much you've hurt yourself. Yeah. And what I'll always, I love Tom to bits, and what he did, so I said to Tom, oh, you didn't get that? He went, no, mate, no, didn't get it, no. You're all right, though. Really caring. When it was all right,
he got it.
I've got that, mate. And I was like, oh. So yeah, it would be. There will be lots of other things, but that's the one that always sticks out.
It wasn't when we did Tom's wedding, was it? It wasn't.
No.
Come and talk about it, because Tom was
work. Yeah,
I worked with Kerry Woods.
Silly question.
Recently at Mitten Hall, and a hair caught fire.
No.
Oh yes, I remember that one.
And singed all the hair. And
See, that's a good story.
The Andy Murphy one last week. Have you got to that yet? Have you been?
No, I'm about 50 minutes in.
That's interesting.
Well, you have to tune in if you want to hear that story. Don't spoil it. Yeah. The last tradition that we do is to ask the guest to then leave a question for the next guest. So the last guest we had on was Andy Murphy, and he said, What
song makes you want to go crazy and join in at the wedding, and would you feel appropriate doing so?
Not 19 Forever by the Cortinas or Step On Happy Mondays.
Perfect.
Yeah, instantly.
Would you jump in?
I can't hear the intro to Step On without wanting
Does it Well, do you feel conscious of getting on the dance floor with the guests?
Yeah, I do. As I said before, I'm a shy. I know I can turn things on, but inherently I'm quite a shy, introverted person. So on the dance floor, like the cameras are like my protection, if you know what I mean. Like I've got a right to be there because I'm taking pictures, but it's like the moment the camera's down, I wouldn't be. No, I've got to have a few drinks in before I'm going to start dancing.
Yeah. And what's your question for the next guest?
Ooh, let me think.
Business related, if possible.
It's business related. If you wanted to get into working at a new venue you've never worked at, what would be the first thing you would do in order to achieve that?
Nice.
Brilliant.
Boom.
Neil Redfern, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Honestly, I love you both. I've always admired what you do. You two are just so good at what you do, and I love that you're doing this as well for the industry. This is important. So yeah, thank you both. It's been an honour to be part of a wing sandwich.
That's a great way to finish.
You're on Instagram. You're on YouTube. Neil Redfern.
Yeah, just put my name in. Yeah, you'll find me or the ex-footballer. I'm the one that didn't play for Oldham.
Right, got it.
Right, that's all. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Cool.
Legend.
So thanks so much for listening. We really hope that you found this episode insightful, inspirational, and if you did enjoy that, then please consider subscribing to us wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. We're Think Wedding Business.
We're also on YouTube and Instagram, so if you want to watch us, you can go over to YouTube and find us at Think Wedding Business, and the same over on Instagram to keep up with all of our future episodes.
We'd really love you to subscribe and join us on this journey. And if you do like this content, please consider giving us a 5-star review. It just helps us get seen and helps spread the word.
So thanks again for listening,
Wings
and we'll see you
out.
next time.
Bye-bye.